All right, here now to break down the Supreme Court decision. Not an easy thing to do. Our legal expert, Paul DerOhannesian. Hey, Paul, how are you tonight?
Good to see you, Greg.
Hey, let's hop right into it. Good to see you too, Paul. Critics say this was racial profiling, but again, the Obama administration went with federal versus state jurisdiction. So how does that all break down? There are still several states that have immigration laws that could be up in the air now.
Well, one thing is clear. The Supreme Court is coming down very much on the side that it's up to the federal government to decide how the immigration policy of this country is going to be developed and enforced. And one of the things it said is, while Arizona can check immigration status, what does it do then? And from that point of view, it's hard to see how this is a victory for any of the states in this case. In fact, once again, states' rights seem to be placed at the back burner. It's another hot-button issue, namely the rights of the states to enforce immigration policy. Basically, they don't have a right to do that.
So you're saying, Paul, you think this just adds fuel to the fire, the whole immigration law controversy?
That's right. I think what is going to happen here is you're going to see that this doesn't resolve anything. We've put another hot-button issue in the lap of the Supreme Court. States are going to be upset. What do they do now? As I said, so what? They can check some immigration status. The court doesn't say they can do anything about it. And I think when states realize that, they're going to be even more frustrated than ever.
Let's talk about something else that was kind of under the radar today. You mentioned at the last minute to our producer, and that's the decision that basically keeps the door open for those big corporate donations to pour into political campaigns. What do you think of that decision?
Well, I think that's another very important decision, because one of the things that we're seeing in this election cycle is the role of money. We've basically opened the door to limitless financing of campaigns by corporations. So what's going to happen now, they said today in a case that out of the Wyoming, is that the states can't regulate this either, that basically the Citizen United decision applies to state and local campaigns. And the dissenters pointed out that the majority is in no position, no desire to reevaluate this law. And if you remember, President Obama at the State of the Union, he dressed down the Supreme Court judges right there in front of him, basically criticizing them for it, once again showing how this becomes a polarizing issue and making it very political.
All right, so if you think that's polarizing, if you think immigration's polarizing, you ain't seen nothing yet, because we think that the health care decision is coming out probably on Thursday, right?
That's right. We know it's coming up on Thursday. And this may be, again, another in a series of cases that puts the Supreme Court right in the middle of trying to decide basically social policy. And we saw 100 years ago it didn't do a good job dealing with slavery. We see a series of cases now coming up. There's another one on the horizon, basically the right to gay marriage. That also is going to come up in the next term. So this Thursday, what you're going to see is, regardless of the decision, it's probably going to be another reason to politicize the Supreme Court. And what happens in the process is probably weakening and diminishing the respect for the Supreme Court and its decisions.
Wow, it's a big statement. All right, Paul, thank you very much. I think we'll see you again on Thursday. We'll have you in here to talk about that, if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right,
thank you very much,
Paul DerOhannesian, our legal expert.